Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Tennant Neckelson, the president of the Henderson County Beekeepers Association in beautiful Western North Carolina. You know us as the Smoky Mountains. So I just got back from conference at our state conference with the North Carolina State Beekeepers Association. And during one lunch, we had on stage all these beautiful women doing bee research. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I in heaven or what? This is awesome. Is part of Dr. Tarpey's program, Be More. And I just like, I'm going to invite them to be part of our YouTube channel. And that's how we've come to meet Rachel today. And I'm very excited to introduce her. And I'm going to be controlling her PowerPoint. But before I start to share the screen, I'm going to give Rachel Bortnick an opportunity to introduce herself and tell you all about her. Hi, Rachel.
Hello. So I am going to be a senior at Elmira College in Western New York. I'm an environmental science and biology double major.
Nice. And then what brought you to North Carolina and what's happening with what you're doing at conference with us? How did you get connected with the conference?
So I found the Be More program through one of my professors at school. I was actually doing ant research with him, Dr. Care, and he pointed me in this direction, and I love it. I'm so glad I came.
All right, I'm going to share with everybody your PowerPoint. Give me just a second. All right, so take us away. Let's talk about what type of research you're doing and what you've learned. Can you see your screen right here?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So my research this summer focused on determining the body weight percentage that different bee species can carry, and this is going to transfer over into guidance in selecting trackers based on the species. And I worked alongside Gwen Kirschke and Dr. Elsa Youngstead in the Youngstead lab. Next slide. So there are hundreds of different bee species in North Carolina, and each species plays an important role in the ecosystem that they inhabit. So you have your social species, such as your bombus and your halictus, where you have bees foraging to provide resources for the entire hive. But the individuals as a whole bear less reproductive responsibilities. And then on the other hand, you have your solitary species, such as your megachile and your xylocopa, where the individuals bear all of the reproductive and foraging responsibilities. So part of the research I did this summer was determining how those traits, as well as body sizes, can determine how much weight they can carry.
Oh, this is
Next.
so great. Yeah, it's so great. Let's see.
So getting into my methods. So first in the day, I would go out and I would catch my bees, usually around campus. Next. And then I would bring them back to the lab and I would mask them. And then I would select the tag that I wanted to test out based on what percentage of the bee's original mass it was. Next. I would then go outside into my little outdoor flight cage. You can roughly see my setup here in that photo. Next. I would then use CO2 to knock the bee out and then use these pitting techniques to get them in a good position to attach the tag. And I actually attached my tag using eyelash glue.
Oh, wow.
So then I would do my flight trials, and I was looking at the time it took for the first flight of the bee, the distance of their first flight, as well as the behavior. So to do that, I would record the bee and take notes of how much time they allotted to their different behaviors, such as grooming, sitting, flying, walking, that sort of stuff. Next. And then at the end of the day, I would remove the tags, go back to the lab, and release the bees. So all of the bees got to go home at the end of the day.
Oh, they probably had a story to tell, right?
Oh, I'm sure. So this research is going to transfer over into selecting tags to track bee movement. And so on your screen here, you can see a telemetry tag on a bombus bee. And at the time of the presentation, I didn't yet have my results, but now I do. So I was able to analyze my data using RStudio. And so I found that as the weight of the tag increased, the probability of flight decreased, which is expected. The heavier things you attach to the bee, the less likely they're going to want to fly. So behavior-wise, as the tag increased, the probability or the time spent flying decreased as well, and the time spent sitting increased. And then for other behavior stuff, our Xylocopa virginica species and the Bombus pennsylvanicus, they were the quickest to fly regardless of the tag size, and the Halictus was the slowest. And one of the things that I found the most interesting was that sociality did not seem to have any significant effect. The impacts of the tag was pretty much the same, whether the species was solitary or social. And that's what I found this summer. So if you're ever interested in trying to tag or track a certain bee species to see what flowers they're visiting, through a farm, or just to see what they're up to, you can use this information to help select the tag.
And then how was it? How had you already been a beekeeper, or was this brand new to you?
This was completely brand new. I've had no experience with bees before this.
Oh, really? So that must have been something for you to catch them, pin them. I mean, even for some of our more intermediate beekeepers, the capturing of a drone or a queen is still very, makes their heart race, right? So how was that for you in capturing our pollinators and pinning them like that?
It was definitely nerve-wracking at first, because especially growing up, I was terrified of bees and I never wanted to get stung. But I realized that they really don't want to sting you. They'll do pretty much anything in their power to not sting you. So as long as you're respectful of the bees and make sure you just keep your fingers away from the back end of their abdomen, you're fine. I haven't been stung yet.
What? That's amazing.
It was the ants that got me this summer. The ants.
Yeah, because when you were working with the ants, they were
Mhm.
the biting ants, because some of them can be really painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I, I got bit when I was catching the bees. I must have misstepped, and that was the worst that I'd had to dealt with so far.
So on an unrelated note, I always use cinnamon in my hives to make the ants less desirable in the hives, right? So I'll just like put cinnamon around, and it tends to work really well. Or chalk, I've had chalk. What are some other ways that we can keep ants from coming into our hives or homes? Do you know?
So that I'm not entirely sure of. So my ant research that I did last semester at school was just using them to look at biodiversity in an area. So I was more just seeing where species were present.
That's I heard a comedian the other day talk about the different types of species that can overtake other ants, right? And that's always a very interesting thing too. Well, ants and beekeepers, we don't really get along, right? Because we don't want our ants inside the in the
Yeah.
hives. Especially getting onto our honey and whatnot. But anything like what's happening next for you, Rachel? Do you think you'll continue on with beekeeping or with this type of research, or what can we expect from you?
So I'm definitely gonna see how I do with beekeeping. I was telling my
Good.
family a lot about just how important bees are, and I have a whole new like respect for all the native and honeybee species. So my uncle actually got a hive himself and got a box for me as well. So I'm brought beekeeping to my family, and I'm excited to start doing it next season.
Well, hopefully you can find a local club, to teach you. We typically have bee schools or workshops or speakers to continue the education of backyard and commercial beekeepers, so that we can really share the research that people like you are doing at the academic level and how it actually impacts the health of our hives. So one, we're really grateful for you to be able to do the research that you've done, and please continue. And welcome to being a beak. We call ourselves beaks, Beek, short for beekeeper, right? So welcome to the family, Rachel. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
if you need anything, let me know. And how can people reach you? Can they reach you on what's your favorite social, or how, if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
So they could just send me an email.
Okay.
My email is rbortnick, BORTNICK35 And any questions, feel free. I'd love to chat with you.
I'm gonna put that in the description, but just before I let everybody go, I'm just gonna share it on the screen real quick because it is you got to probably look at that one to also remember it.
Yeah,
So
probably.
let me just give me a second to if everybody will just indulge me just a minute while I get that onto a screen. There we are. Hold on a second. That is her Gmail, everybody. Okay. And I'll also put that in the description. So if you want to reach out to Rachel and her research and have her speak to your club, let her know. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Bye.